Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the Professor, and this is the Moment of Truth.
Former CNN anchor turned independent journalist Don Lemon appeared in federal court this afternoon to face charges related to a live streaming report he did at a protest during a church service in St. Paul, Minnesota. Here's what he told reporters afterwards.
Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silent. I look forward to my day in court.
A lot of morons on the white right have been saying, I'll bet Don Lemonade didn't expect this to happen, hee hee hee. Hey, stupid, not only was he expecting this, he was betting on it. This is not to say that Don Lemonade, of all people, is some sort of Machiavellian chess player. He's not. But it does mean that this is what he wanted. Don Lemon's looking for his second act. Actually, he's looking for a way to get back on TV, and he thinks this just might be his ticket. Now, whether or not he was a participant in that church protest or not is actually irrelevant. He was there for his own benefit regardless. Look at what he did as soon as the news broke, quote unquote. This was the thumbnail that he put on the video that he posted on his YouTube channel. He put these funny little captions on it, by the way. Big breaking news. Who the hell puts big breaking news on a legit news item, huh? And then he had the word breaking again on the exact same image because I guess he thought that people didn't see it the first time. And for good measure, he put the word breaking in the title. Somehow, I think that if it had been CNN or MSNBC who came up with a thumbnail for this story, they would have been a little more tactful than this. Not much for subtlety, that boy is. He's using this to make content, and he hopes to drive views. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't do that. That's the name of the game, especially for him. But what I'm saying is you need to understand that's what's going on here. Now, this next part is a little bit on the weeds, but some of the white media, especially on the white right, have been saying that Don Lemonade would never have tried that in a mosque. Now, that's stupid talking. Most of these mosques are run by foreigners, people who have every interest in making sure that immigration restrictions and background checks are relaxed as much as possible. After all, a large part of why ICE is in Minnesota to begin with is to try to round up as many Somalians as possible, and the Somalians are by and large Muslims. And the entire reason that people even went to that church that Don Lemonade was at is because the pastor there and some of the other people in his, I guess you call hierarchy, they were working hand in hand with ICE. That's the reason why the protesters were there for this stunt. Now, can anyone see any mosque anywhere where there's going to be an imam running around trying to help ICE round up immigrants? So to say, well, Don Lemon, he would never have tried that at a mosque, of course not, stupid. That's redundant. Obviously, he would never try that at a mosque because I can't think of any mosque who would ever be working with ICE. The real question, I think, though, is, would Don Lemon have ever tried that at a synagogue? It's a fair question, because there's a lot of people in the white media right now who are giving commentary on this who happen to be Jewish. Jake Tapper is Jewish, and he's lauding Don Lemon, albeit modestly. But had Lemon gone to a synagogue with a rabbi who was working with ICE, do you think Jake Tapper would be saying this is a First Amendment threat? Of course not. Would people like Dana Bash, real name Dana Schwartz, be saying that? Would Barry Weiss and the rest of her crew over at the Ellison Broadcasting Station, CBS, be saying that? Maybe even Rachel Maddow, for all we know? Israel has killed God knows how many journalists. Not arrested, but killed those journalists. Has Don Lemonade, the fearless independent journalist, ever gone to an Israeli embassy and confronted them? Or has he ever gone to any of these synagogues to confront them? How about gotten in the faces of these big Zionist donors? Then again, they're also the same ones who bankroll a lot of these media companies. Now, since Don Lemonade is an alleged black journalist, this provided one of the professional do-nothing organizations, the so-called National Association of Black Journalists, to get themselves some face time.
You're talking about somebody who is the VP of the Minneapolis chapter of the National Association of Black Journalists. She also was released here this evening in which she said documenting what is happening in our communities is not a crime. I think we also have sound from her daughter.
She is not a protester. She is not an activist. She is a mom working to provide for her children through the only way she knows how. Documenting and sharing stories of the community and truth of what's happening here every day in our state.
Whenever we hear about the National Association of Black Journalists, They're usually protesting about immigration or about voting rights, which means opening up the ballot to allow illegals to vote, or on LGBT issues, abortion, etc. The National Association of Black Journalists cares about every issue except for black people. This is the reason why nobody takes these clowns seriously, nor should they. These guys are just basically some social club, usually trying to be based out of DC, because all of them are out there prostituting themselves for a job working for some national white media organ. That's what they're really there about. Self-interested. And because this fiasco is always about Negroes who depend on white power for their daily bread, you know we had to see the most worthless organization on earth with the most worthless membership on earth, the NAACP, make an appearance. And of course, they gotta pretend as if they speak for us.
And Georgia had the courage to record it. And now she's arrested. Where is our constitutional rights? We are under attack, and you all better wake up before it's too late to wake up. It's not a joke. It's not a drill. When journalists are getting arrested, you all better be afraid.
And yes, I was also wondering how big this woman's mouth is, too. Like a shark. Well, that's the NAACP for you. Every time you sit down, they start acting up. This is the same NAACP, by the way, who openly attacked reparations in San Francisco. And you haven't seen any branch of the NAACP campaigning for that or telling those guys in San Francisco to sit down and shut up. They weren't doing that at all. That's how you know this is a policy that the NAACP is endorsing, attacking reparations. So they're not screaming and yelling and showing their tonsils to the world for reparations, or for an anti-black hate crime law, or for legislation to stop the medical genocide that black Americans are subjected to. But when it comes to protecting illegal aliens, all of a sudden here they come with the cape on. This is the official bootlick brigade for the white media. This is about nothing but clout chasing for all of them, which means it's actually about nothing. So they're doing all of this extra for illegal aliens. You had journalists getting arrested and assaulted by police during the BLM protest. Where was the NABJ then? They're talking as if we have some sort of stake in this when we don't. This is how you know we're dealing with some tethers here. This is starting to smell like the last stand of the tethers. They have to try to find a way to still push the lie that they speak for us, and that they're going to tell everybody what it is that we care about. And if they can't find a way, then they'll just make one up. When has this professional do-nothing organization ever gotten this uptight for black people? I'll wait. When has the white media ever given these clowns a platform like this will probably be a more appropriate question. They know the game and they love to play it. But Don Lemonade, he's a black man, allegedly. Has he ever gone to the home or to the office of a member of Congress and gotten in their face and demanded to know why they refuse to support anything like an anti-black lynching law? Or has he ever cornered a congressperson on Capitol Hill and done some ambush journalism on behalf of black people? When has he ever done anything like this where black people are concerned? And this is how you know, no matter what the white media may be saying, whether it's the white left or the white right, it's all controlled opposition. It's still the same game of two sock puppets who are on the hands of the same master. That's how it works. White supremacy believes in taking both sides of the conversation. Thank you, Neely Fuller. Because you see, white supremacy has never been about anti-immigrant anything. It is always about one thing and one thing only: anti-black racism. Full stop. If you're not discussing that, then you're just wasting time. If you're not fighting anti-black racism, if you're not putting the politicians, the business people, and the clergy on the hot seat about that, then you're just wasting time. You're not going to be hearing much about this case because the white media, including the white left, doesn't want to talk about Don Lemon anyway. They're only pretending to because, as far as they're concerned, it's trending for the moment. They're not going to be giving this one the day-by-day, play-by-play coverage. They're not going to treat this like Michael Jackson or any other black person who they were using as a high-profile scapegoat. Don Lemon is not some champion of the First Amendment. He's just another white media shill trying to promote himself within that same white media sphere. Just like Mark Lamont Schill. During the height of the BLM protests, he chose to go to the UN and give a statement for the Palestinians, as if black Americans aren't being killed with impunity while the world just watches. See, these black bootlicks, they know the rules of the game. You have to give token criticism where harming black people is concerned, but if you expect the white media to put you on, you better show that you care about literally anything else more than you do black people. You can care about immigrants, LGBT issues, abortion, sexual harassment, saving the whales, just so long as you solidly establish that you care about some other issue a hell of a lot more than you do anything dealing with black people. And you do that and the white media will let you stay on the cable TV circuit. Maybe. Don Lemon's attempting to lend the good offices, the impeccable moral heft of the foundational Black American struggle to illegal aliens. And everyone sees it. He'll be used as a mascot for a hot minute. They don't have the likes of John Lewis to put on the cape for him anymore, so this is the best they can do. The First Amendment, however, is not sacred in this country, certainly not to us. We've had all of our rights trampled on from day one, and we continue to see that none of the Constitution ever applies where we're concerned. When we bring a suit against someone, we're always told that we just don't have any grounds. Whenever someone brings a suit against us, no matter how flimsy or blatantly false it is, we're told that it's valid. The survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre were told that they didn't have a case because too much time had passed. Now, as we all know, there's no statute of limitations on murder, and the damage done was undeniable. But as far as these white authorities are concerned, the Constitution cannot be allowed to apply to us because that's what the struggle has been from day one. From the 13th Amendment forward, we've been trying to force the Constitution to apply to us and to do so consistently. That has been the struggle. Complaining about how your constitutional rights have been infringed upon, that's a luxury that white people have, but we don't. And that's why silly Negroes who say we, when talking about this incident, are just stupid as hell. We don't control this nation's policies, and we damn sure don't benefit from them. So there's no we here, not when it comes to talking about this country and what it does. And I consider it to be particularly amusing when you got these brain-dead morons saying, well, this case matters because we have to decide what kind of country we want to be. Well, I don't know how to break it to them, but this country already decided that a long time ago. The only people who refuse to face those facts are those who either know it and wish that they didn't, or the ones who wish that you don't know it. But either way, they're ignorant or malignant. You can decide which. Don Lemon's case is no more relevant to black people than another black man who loves to lay up with white folks, Byron Allen. Remember that clown? You had A-dunts, those dummies who were signal boosting his nuisance suit against Comcast or AT&T or whichever white media company he was suing that week because they refused to broadcast his stuff. We were told by those guys that our freedom as black people hung in the balance on his lawsuit. Why, if he didn't win his case, then it was back to the cotton fields for us. Well, that case ended the same way that all of Byron Allen's suits end, with a settlement that has some white corporation making some sort of deal with him where he benefits, but we didn't get anything from that, and we weren't going to. The only reason you see some white people in the white media trembling over Don Lemonade's current travails is because he is, or was, part of their profession, which is mass media mind control. And they just want to make sure that if the orange man is going to start locking up people calling themselves journalists, they want to make certain that it stops at Don Lemon and that other light-skinned woman who also got charged. They're fine with people getting locked up just long as it ain't them. They don't want that to become habit-forming. Those white folks at CNN and MSNBC and elsewhere, they know that had he been white, this wouldn't have happened, and they want to keep it that way. Now, CNN and others, they like to say that Don Lemon is our colleague. Yeah, former colleague, they say. And on top of that, all of the agenda-setting white media make sure to mention, oh, by the way, he got fired from CNN. They throw that in there regardless, to the point you almost think that's what this is about. It just goes to show, as far as these guys are concerned, this is not about protecting Don Lemonade, it's about protecting themselves. And even while they're pretending to be sticking up for him, pretending as if they're just so concerned about this, they also make sure to throw some dirt on him. Oh, by the way, you guys know that he got himself canned for making sexist remarks, right? So, I mean, he's not really one of us, but the thing is, he kind of sort of worked at our place for a little while, and, we're just doing this based on principle, not really based on him. I really can't get too worked up about it at all, not even to get angry about it, because it was obvious from the start that Don Lemon was hoping for this. I told you about this. He wanted this stunt to force him into the news cycle, and Trump's done exactly that. The chances of Lemonade actually being convicted are about the same as Letitia James at this point. Trump's DOJ has always been the gang who can't shoot straight. But the point of this morning's briefing is to remind you, don't buy into the hype. These are games played by people who have nothing to do with us, and far as I'm concerned, they're welcome to it. Don Lemon has always been self-interested, and when this case predictably falls apart, he'll try to position himself as some champion of the First Amendment. And in a perverted kind of way, Don Lemon is exactly what the white media and the white political class think the First Amendment is about. Freedom of speech, meaning free to make speeches, preferably for a fee, which is also what they mean when they say free speech isn't free. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors: Suleiman Alaji, Miss Ridgway, Walter Wilborn, Morris Bodden, and Elisa Boutte. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.